You're listening to TNCRadio.live. Remember to tune into the Truckers Network radio show with Shelley Johnson, weekdays at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern.
TNCRadio.live, your commercial driver navigation station. Good evening. Welcome to TNCRadio.live. This is Taillights with the Baums on a Wednesday night, live right here on TNCRadio.live. Angie and Larry, Mom, take it away.
Good afternoon, or good evening, I should say, guys. We're still on vacation, so it feels like afternoon.
Good evening, everybody.
I'm Angie. This is my husband, Larry.
And we are on location right now.
Yes, in Orange Beach, Alabama. And we have some really awesome people for you guys tonight. They're actually friends of ours. It's Melissa and Martian. Although, Melissa, what is your favorite nickname?
I go by Mouse.
Mouse. I love that.
I love that.
They are actually not truck drivers, but they have such a cool story to share. They have a Facebook page, and you guys may have heard of them, and a YouTube called The Journey of a Spirits Mechanic. And so I wanted to give you guys just a few minutes to kind of explain what exactly you guys do out there and who you are, and just kind of invite our listeners to the life that you guys currently have.
We started in a 2003 Ford Escape about 3.5 years ago, somewhere around in there, with the concept of helping people that were stranded on the side of the interstate. And we have grown from the Ford Escape to a van, and now in a 2009 Thomas Built bus that's built out into a part home and part shop in the back. And it doesn't matter if you're in a semi, truck, car, bus, coach, doesn't matter. If you're stranded on the side of the road, we try to help without expecting anything in return. We're out to prove that good people still exist and prayers are answered every day. So
now, what made you decide one day, we're just going to give up everything and we're going to go over the road and we're just going to see if we can find stranded motorists and to try to help them?
I hitchhiked for 16 years, and I went to go visit my brother in Michigan, and she happened to be at my brother's house, and she had the same job for 8 years and was like, I want to travel. And I said, well, I'm not taking you hitchhiking. Been a mechanic most of my life, so we jumped in her Ford Escape and decided to take a trip and see how it went. And here we are years later.
Nice.
That is so cool.
Yeah, we saw your bus. It's very awesome. You guys are fixing that up so nice.
Yeah, I was going to say, now what made you, because I know you started out in the Ford Escape, and then you went to the van, and the van was wrapped, and then you guys upgraded to a school bus, which is much larger, which is nicer for you guys and your two dogs. But what made you guys choose a school bus?
Because of the stout durability of them, and accidents and whatnot, they handle up very well. The room they offer, it allows you to build out the layout however you want versus a RV that's just pre-built and built very poorly. I mean, right. I've watched them disintegrate with a very minor hit. So
yeah, we were actually talking with our boss last night, and we were explaining to him the setup that you guys currently have in your school bus. And she's very much into tiny houses. And she's like, oh my gosh, it's like a tiny house on wheels. I'm like, exactly. That's what they're driving around.
Yep. That it is. That it is. It is pretty great to be able. When we were in the Escape, we had to move the tools from the back to the front every night to be able to sleep, and then every morning we would have to put them back in the back. And then the van was awesome because we were able to have a queen size bed, but then eating out every single night was getting old, so we ended up upgrading to a bus so we could build a little kitchen.
Gee, that makes so much sense. I mean, it's amazing when you can be, each one of the upgrades, you're becoming more self-sufficient out there without having to spend so much extra money, especially now you guys can cook your food.
Right. Absolutely.
Amazing. I love what you guys do out there.
Thank you. It's definitely a blast, and I couldn't dream of doing anything else. That's for sure.
You are like angels of the road.
I know.
Actually, in some states, Kansas actually started it, but they call us the Angels of the Highway.
It's a very suiting name. That's actually how I found you guys. I was actually just on Facebook one day and I was scrolling through and I actually saw Martian on the side of the road helping a lady and he was changing her flat tire. And I'm like, what am I watching here? But I was like, I can't stop watching. What are they doing? And then I realized I was like, so they're changing this lady's flat tire. They're not charging her anything for it. He's using his tools. I'm like, what a cool concept.
Thank you.
A lot of people told us it wouldn't work because they had never heard of such a thing, because from the day we've started, we've never put a value to what we do, and we've never charged anybody. And that's why it's still only me and Mouse doing it, is because that's a lot of trust to put into somebody else that we're just not ready to do.
Yeah.
Like we pride ourselves in to be able to help people and to prove that good people still exist. So we want to continue to do that.
And that's why we're having you on the show, to prove that good people do.
We greatly appreciate it.
This is actually our first podcast.
Oh, that's so sweet. And we should also preface it by saying that we have actually met in person. We met a little over a month ago, and that's how we were able to see the bus, and it was so cool.
Yep. Met at a truck stop.
Yes, we did.
Met at a truck stop.
Oh, so I was going to ask you, how do you? I know you don't put any monetary, like say you change a tire or something. You don't say, okay, that'll be $100. So how did you just say, we accept donations if you'd like to donate, or how do you word that?
We let everybody know that, because everybody said, a lot of people ask, well, how much will I owe you for this? And I'll just flat out tell them we're the only donation-based roadside, so it's whatever you give us. If you don't give us anything, I'm still going to help you, but at the same time, if you do give something to us, you're helping us get down the road to the next person.
Exactly.
So, and then it's about 40% donate.
That you receive.
What's that?
I said you get about 40% of it from the donations that you receive to keep you out there on the road.
Yep.
That's sad that 100% don't pay it.
What else?
Some can barely afford the parts, let alone pay for a service.
At least $5.
Well, I do remember one of the times we were just talking, and you actually mentioned a gentleman that all he could afford was the parts. That's all the money he had, and you guys still drove him into town to help him get that part, and brought him back, and still repaired his vehicle. You didn't charge him anything. You just did it to help him out because he was in a bind.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's not about the money. As hard as it is for a lot of people to understand that, it's not about the money to us. And at the end of the day, there's been times that we don't know how things will get paid and on the verge of shut off, but they've never been shut off. Like on the shut off day, it's always managed to get paid. So, I mean, I'm not saying we don't worry sometimes, but every day we learn a little more about just letting go and trusting that as long as we continue to sow good and do good and prove that people can care without any reason or rhyme behind it, then it will always work out.
That is so true. We're going to take just a little break here. But before we go, I just wanted to remind everybody, you guys can find Martian and Mouse on Facebook. Their Facebook page is called A Journey of a Spirits Mechanic. And we're going to be back in just a few minutes. When we come back, Martian, I'm going to have you talk about 3 years ago when you guys helped an RV who lost his power going up a mountainside. So we'll be back in just minutes with Taillights with the Baums.
5 common health hazards truck drivers face. A healthy lifestyle is often overlooked by most truckers. Due to work conditions in the trucking industry, it's difficult for truckers to live a healthy lifestyle. Living on the road makes it hard for truckers to prioritize their health. Truck drivers have limited access to healthy food, lack of sleep, and exercise. Due to their work and living conditions, truck drivers statistically have more health problems. It's important for truck drivers to be aware of the common health hazards they face. To live a long, healthy life, truckers will have to focus on their health and make a conscious effort to be healthy. Sleep apnea. Sleep is crucial for truck drivers. Lack of sleep can make driving dangerous. A study shows that long-haul truck drivers obtain less sleep than the required amount for alertness on the job. Truckers need a good night's sleep to be fully alert and ready to take on the road the next morning. Getting a good night's sleep is crucial for keeping a truck driver alert and productive. Truck drivers travel several hundred miles each day. To reach their destination on time, they'll have to prioritize sleep so they can be alert and ready. Obesity. When you live in a tiny truck cab and drive for 11 hours a day, it becomes increasingly difficult to maintain a healthy lifestyle. As a result, obesity is a terrible problem that American truck drivers face. According to the American Dietetic Association, 86% of truck drivers are obese. Healthy food is hard to come by while driving and working on the road. Truck stops offer greasy, high-calorie food rather than healthy fruits and vegetables. It's important for truck drivers to be conscious of what they eat. There are many other health risks that come with fast food and truck stop food. High blood pressure, also known as hypertension, is a silent killer of both your health and trucking career. A poor diet, smoking, obesity, lack of exercise are causes of high blood pressure. Truckers need to be aware of the causes of high blood pressure and take necessary steps to avoid them. Not only does high blood pressure put your life at risk, it can also disqualify you from driving. Truckers with stage 3 hypertension, that's 180 over 110, are automatically disqualified. Depression. Truck drivers spend a significant amount of time away from home and their loved ones. They also work alone for 11 hours a day. It's not uncommon for truckers to start to develop symptoms of depression. Truck driving's not an easy job. It comes with a lot of stress and anxiety. Depression not only affects a person mentally, it also affects you physically. Depression affects your energy levels and the amount of sleep you get. It can also cause a change in appetite, headaches, and muscle aches. It's important for truck drivers to consider their mental health as well as their physical health. This blog on tncradio.live is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
Do you feel like you're facing more than just the physical road ahead of you? Are you wondering if there's more to life? Join Ron Fraser, the host of Truckers Life Radio, every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, where he discusses the spiritual side of a driver's life. On the show, he goes through the spiritual and moral questions drivers face on a daily basis, helping you, the driver, as you travel life's highway.
Don't forget, you can hear all of our TNC Radio primetime shows again on our podcasts. Just go to tncradio.live/podcasts or search for tncradio.live wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back. You're listening to Taillights with the Baums. I'm your host, Angie.
And I am so relaxed here on vacation. And I am Larry.
It's our last night of vacation. So before the break, we were talking with Martian and Mouse, and we were talking about all the work that they do out there on the highways. So you had mentioned a story about, I guess 3 years ago, you helped an RV who had lost his power while he was going up a mountain. You want to explain to everybody what happened?
They were coming up over the top of a mountain in Oregon, and when they saw how fast they were going, they went and slammed on their brakes. And when they slammed on their brakes, they lost power to everything, like the dash, the power to the engine, everything shut off. They couldn't figure it out. They called roadside, and roadside sat there. They waited 2 or 3 hours before they showed up. They sat there for 2 or 3 hours. Once the roadside actually showed up, they couldn't figure out why they couldn't get power to any system on the RV at all, and had told the couple that it was going to be between 8 and 12 hours before they could get one of their tow trucks out there to tow them to the shop to try to figure it out. it was like dawn. I don't know, it was like dusk, if not shortly after dusk, which normally we don't stop, but I could see the two vehicles with the RV and could tell something wasn't right. So we went on and pulled over. Well, as we pulled over, the mobile mechanic was just finishing up telling them that, hey, I've got to get a tow truck. I can't figure it out. Well, as he was leaving, I looked at the couple and said, well, hey, look, this is what we do. I'm a voluntary roadside. Like, you want me to take a look at it? Might be able to figure it out. And they're like, well, if you think you can figure it out, go for it. This guy couldn't. And I said, well, I can't say I can. I can't say I can't. But, I can take a look at it. So I grabbed my voltmeter, and they had full power in the batteries. So I started tracing the wires, and it ended up being a $2 a wire eyelet, which went from it was on the power cable from the kill switch. The power went from the battery to the kill switch to the starter. Well, the eyelet from the kill switch to the starter broke, that killed all power going into the entire system. And so we took them like 15 minutes or so down the road. It was the nearest truck stop. Got them the eyelet. It was like $2. Went back, put it back on for them, and everything worked great. Like, was able to drive away and everything, and they just could not believe it.
That's amazing. It was just a tiny little eyelet, and otherwise it could have sat 8 or 9 hours.
Right. And pay after hours costs and everything. Like, they wanted to charge them a very unsurreal amount of money just for showing up, and we're like, dude, you didn't even do nothing. Like, what do you mean?
Exactly. You still got to come back and bring a tow truck with you, so that's incredible. Right.
So they were definitely relieved, though. They ended up making a steak dinner for us, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, we stayed at the rest area, 46 miles. We followed them 46 miles.
Yep.
To the truck or to the rest area, and they made us dinner.
Yep.
Okay, now that's worth it. That is awesome. I was just gonna say, I bet you, kind of like Larry and I bet you guys, you're meeting friends all along the way.
Oh, absolutely, every day.
Melissa, I was gonna ask you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we're changing lives one vehicle at a time. I can't tell you how many people have said, well, this don't happen to me. And it's like, well, yeah, it does. I'm standing here. So we get to change people's outlooks on lives. And that, I think, is the best part.
Okay, Marcia, I love that. That was so good. Melissa, I was going to ask you, do you think the most common thing you see people pulled off on the side of the road? Is it like flat tire, overheated radiator? What's running out of gas? Yeah.
The most common is running out of gas and flat tires.
Yeah.
We have changed radiators on the side of the interstate. We've done starters and semis, and so we've even done water pumps on the side of the interstate.
Oh my gosh.
You guys told me a story about you changing a radiator in a semi on the side of the road?
Yeah. First of all, that sounds dangerous, knowing how bad the side of the road is in the traffic, but what happened there?
The guy, before we showed up, had blown the radiator, and he had paid an Uber guy $200 to take him to Freightliner, I think it was, to get a new radiator to be able to swap it out, and it ended up being the wrong radiator. And he was an older gentleman, and I was like, well, we can't do this without an engine hoist. And so we're sitting there with the engine hoist on the side of the interstate with the 2 lanes of traffic exiting on our right and like 5 lanes of traffic on our left. And we're sitting there with an engine hoist lifting a 4-foot by like 3-foot radiator out of a Freightliner. How we didn't cause an accident that day is a miracle, because I can't tell you how many people actually like snapped their neck looking at us. But I couldn't leave them sit there.
Oh my gosh. I was going to ask you, have you had any close calls being on the side of the road from people not paying attention and not moving over?
Yeah. I think the closest call was having a semi-drum piece. It was like a broken semi-drum metal piece that got kicked by another vehicle and was like 3 inches away from me, that literally gouged the car that I was trying to help. I think that was probably the closest call. The lady freaked out, came running around. Are you okay? Yeah, I don't know what that was, though. And I walked around to where I was just at and looked at her car, and there was a big gash in it going, oof, I'm okay, but your car's not.
Thank God for insurance, right? Oh, my goodness.
Right?
Side of the road.
Oh.
You have
But
what kind of safety devices do you have? Like triangles or maybe a safety sock you hang on your mirror?
Yep, we have a safety sock, and we're going to put our lights back on that we had on our van, and some more that we got.
Yep.
That's very cool.
Next time you see Marvin, he'll be lit up like a Christmas tree in the back at least.
Oh,
And
yeah, we should
being a yellow school bus too.
Yeah, I say we should probably tell everybody too that you guys have called the school bus Martian, and on the back of it you do have. Oh, I don't know if you drive. Do you drive around with stuff, Marvin? Do you drive around with the stuff Marvin on the back, or do you just put them there when you park?
No, we just put him out. We just put him back there
when we park.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I was going to say, Melissa, is you are quite crafty because all around the bus, on the hood, on the side, on the back door, you've used. I don't know, is it Cricut, I guess? But you put lettering there. Cricut, yeah, where you put lettering up there, letting people know, first of all, who you are and how they can make donations to you guys.
Yes. And I'm actually going to redo the sides while we're here at our home base in Utah. And we're going to do a blue this time instead of white, so it stands out better.
Oh, that'd look good.
Kind of like the blue on the back.
Yeah.
And what does it say where people can send donations to?
We have Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, and PayPal.
Okay.
And they can all be found on our Linktree website.
Okay, awesome. I was just going to say, how can they find that? And they can also contact you on Facebook through your page also, A Journey of a Spirits Mechanic. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yep. So if anybody's looking to make a donation or to help Martian and Melissa continue what they're doing out there on the road by helping other people out there, you can always visit their Facebook page to learn more about that.
And if you're ever broke down on the side of the road, look them up. They may be in your area.
That's true. Look them up. You never know, right?
Right.
I think the only place you guys really don't go to is California. Is that correct?
And New England.
Oh, yeah. Don't blame me there. Between the toll roads and the traffic, it's not fun up that way.
Oh, I don't mind the traffic. I'll be nice.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, we'll take a quick break, and when we do come back, I did want to talk to you guys and see if you guys have any type of idea how many people you guys think that you've helped, or how many miles you think you've driven over the last 3 years. So when we get back in a few minutes, we'll be back with Taillights with the Baums.
Be sure to listen to Building Strong Minds with Dr. Chris, Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, right here on tncradio.live.
Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Cortman, and now for the Mental Health Minute. I'd like to do a couple of videos on this next topic, and that is helping versus enabling. When you love someone, you want to help them. I mean, if you're a parent or a spouse or a friend, you love someone, you want to do everything you can to assist them. Life is hard, right? You want to give them every advantage. But how do you know if you're helping or assisting them versus enabling them to be stuck in negative things like an alcohol or drug problem or some type of self-destructive behavior? How do you know the difference? Let me give you a simple rule that I created, and I think it's been helpful to me and to others, and I think it might help you as well. And that is, anytime you do something for someone that they could or should be doing for themselves, that's probably enabling. But if you do something for someone when they're doing everything they possibly can to help themselves, you're probably assisting them. You're probably helping them. I'll tell you more about it in part 2.
Hot Shots Secret presents Steve Summers' Overnight Drive nightly at midnight Eastern, 11 Central on tncradio.live or download the app .tncradio.live.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Welcome back. You're listening to Taillights with the Baums. I'm your host, Angie.
And I am Larry.
We've been sitting here talking with Martian and Melissa. And before we went to the break, I'd ask you guys, do you guys have any idea how many people do you think you've helped over the last 3 years?
Well over 500-600 people at least.
Wow.
More than that.
Is there like someone that really stands out in your mind? Like, I'm sure there's a couple people where you're like, you know, I'm never going to forget that person or that story of someone that you've helped on the side of the road. Did you say yes? I'm sorry.
The Brookses.
The Brookses, there was this one guy that was about to ride his dirt bike to go get a belt because he had the wrong ones. He had carried extra ones, but had wrong ones, I think. And we ended up taking them and getting them the right belts. And I believe that I can't remember. I want to say they cooked us a meal in their RV that night too, but I can't remember. But they were blown away, and we actually still stay in touch with them to this day. They've helped us a few times when we were in a pinch, and they turned into friends, which was pretty cool.
Now, anytime that we're near their home, we stop by. They got to see Marvin this last time we saw them.
Yep.
That is so cool. I was going to ask you, because I know we had talked about that, you know, you guys are making friends along the way by helping these people. And I was wondering if anybody had made donations down the road, you know, after you've helped them to keep you guys doing what you're doing out there.
We have had a couple that when they see we're in a pinch or the cell phone's about to get shut off or something, they'll get a hold of us and be like, hey, we want to help you out. So it's definitely pretty cool to see people that we've helped in the past come forth later down the road.
Absolutely, because, I mean, essentially they're paying it forward, which is what it's about.
Right.
Help people out there.
Gotta keep you going.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, do you guys have any idea how many miles you guys think you've driven over the last 3 years?
Well over 200,000 between the three vehicles. We've done almost 10,000 just in Marvin this year.
Wow, that's incredible.
Well, I say this year, but since what, April?
Yeah.
Yeah, since April. So, and that's with a lot of sitting still places. So, like right now, we've been sitting still for a couple weeks at the home base in Utah, catching up some side jobs and odds and ends for our family here. It's been a couple of years since we came, so we're trying to get little jobs done for them while we're here.
I was going to say, one of the other things you had mentioned is, you know, not only do you guys help stranded motorists on the side of the roads, but you work on pretty much everything, whether it's a car, truck, motorcycle, RV. Are you self-taught or did you go to school?
Self-taught. I had a very good neighbor. He was basically my best friend growing up, turned into a couch potato, and his dad was a diesel mechanic for the Navy and wanted somebody to pass information on to, and his kid wasn't interested. And I've never been one to be in four walls, so I got to be the kid he got to pass his information to. And from that point, that was the foundation, and then over the years, it's just been built on from there.
Okay, that's really cool. Now, go ahead.
So, and then a lot of my diesel experience and knowledge has came from my brother who got into diesel work almost a decade ago.
Okay, that's
about a decade ago. So, That's when I started really learning diesel. I knew some diesels, but I really started learning diesels about a decade ago when he got into it. So
yeah, that's so cool when you can learn a trade like that and then use it just to bless other people, like you guys are doing out there on the road.
that we tell everybody that's how life is meant to be, and everybody's born with a gift. And if you find that gift and discover that gift, it will make a way for you, whether you try to charge for it or not. Like, the gift will always make a way for you. You just have to trust it.
Absolutely. So I was going to mention also, I'm sure you actually, Martian, I don't know if you still are, but you were a volunteer fireman. So you have emergency experience. Have you ever come across any accident scenes and helped out?
Multiple times. We've been first on scene, and I do whatever I can to assist. Fortunately, it's never been a fatality or a seriously injured accident, but we have shut down lanes of traffic and blocked off lanes of traffic to keep other people safe that were in the accident. I'll tell you, we just did it recently in Marvin for the first time, using Marvin, and I'll tell you what, it was a lot nicer using Marvin as a 38-foot school bus as a buffer for traffic than a van. They tend to see the bus a lot easier than they did the van.
Yeah, and you can probably block 2 or 3 lanes versus just one.
Yep, absolutely. So
that's pretty comfortable. So now, how do you get your tools? Because I know when we saw your school bus in the back of it, you had like a toolbox area that you're creating, and you've got all your tools back there. So what kind of tools do you carry so you can be prepared to help people along the way?
Right now I have a little air compressor that'll air up car tires. We're actually working towards trying to get a full-size industrial air compressor so I can do semi-tires and get the equipment to do semi-tires. I basically have an assorted tool set that I've acquired over the years. I got sockets I need to replace and stuff, but for the most part, I got most of the sockets I ever need to be able to help. I got a jack, an impact, axle nuts, just
tire master keys.
Yep, I got the master set of the lug nut keys. So if people don't have their key to their lug nuts, most of them I can get off with the master set. So that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I didn't even realize I had that until my last car that I purchased. And they're like, I got a flat tire, and the mechanic's like, you got your lug nut key? I'm like, what? No, I didn't. And I did. And he knew where to look for it, but I had no idea those even existed.
Yep. And they can be annoying if you don't have the key sometimes. That's for sure.
No, I can imagine. So, Melissa, I was going to ask you, is there ever times when Martian's out there doing the repairs that you get scared, like, worried that he's going to get hit by a car or, just a dangerous, they didn't quite get off the side of the road enough?
Nope. I try to keep the faith that he is protected and that there's a bubble around him. He's very quick reflex, so like if a semi doesn't get over and it's like 4 inches from him, he has this like notion to step forward,
right, to try to avoid it,
right. Okay, but really we're just trying to get the other person on the road as fast as possible to keep everybody safe, because the longer we sit on the side of the road, the more likely something could happen.
So is there, like, I know you guys have met so many people along the way and so many people that, stories, like I know with Larry and I and Treated Trucker, we have so many stories that we could tell. And you do keep in contact a lot. What does your family think of what you guys do? Are they supportive?
They are now. Some didn't believe this could happen, like that we could actually be a voluntary roadside service. And, but they have definitely over the years become more supportive.
Yeah.
They see all the good you're doing.
They still don't understand it, but they're starting to accept it. So
Now, has the rise in diesel costs really hurt you guys this year?
it has. It's caused our monthly cost. We actually sat down not too long ago and added up and calculated our monthly cost, and it's $6,500 plus a month to be able to run. That's roughly 300 miles a day for 30 days. It is $6,500 plus dollars that it cost us to run. If the fuel would drop back down, it would probably be closer to like 5,300. But yeah, diesel going up. It was it was killer when we got Marvin and Denver and had to drive both Marvin and the van down to Quartzsite. That was rough, because that was at the beginning of the spike in the diesel prices and like towards that highest point, and that was pretty rough.
Yeah, having to put diesel into two vehicles, I can imagine.
So, but we're no matter what grateful to have Marvin, and I do want to shout out to Trevor's Vision, based out of Phoenix, Arizona, because they are the ones that supported us with getting the bus and just handing it over to us to be able to farther help others. So they are a charity, an actual registered charity based out of Phoenix that houses and supports all the homeless all through Phoenix. They supply meals every Thursday. They have a shower trailer that they offer every other Saturday. So, I mean, it's a really cool organization, and they definitely didn't have to do what they did. So to not have an actual sponsor or financial backers and to have them come forward and go, hey, we love what you do. Let us do this for you. It was pretty awesome.
And what was their name again?
Trevor's Vision out of Phoenix, Arizona.
Very cool. We're going to take just a quick break, and when we come back, we'll finish up talking with Martian and Melissa and all the roadside assistance that they're offering to everybody out there. So stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few minutes with Taillights with the Baums.
Front Lane introduces Impulse, the world's first collision alert system for the driver behind you when you have to brake hard. Impulse uses ultra-bright pulsing red LEDs to alert drivers behind you who might not be giving their full attention to the road. Using amazing accelerometer technology and a battery that will last for years, Impulse installs in minutes, fits nearly any vehicle, and never requires additional wiring. Drivers react 50% faster, helping to protect you and your passengers. Learn more by visiting www.frontlane.com/impulse. That's www.frontlane.com/impulse. Approved by all 50 states. Impulse by Front Lane.
The info blog on tncradio.live is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. A truck driver's guide to balancing work and home life. Truck driving's hard and demanding work. Becoming a truck driver means spending many hours and days on the road. You'll sacrifice a lot for your trucking career. For many long-haul truck drivers, it's hard to separate life at work from life at home. Learning how to have a balance between home life and work life is essential if you want to have a long-lasting career in trucking. Check out our guide to balancing work and home life for truck drivers. Get enough sleep. Getting the recommended amount of sleep each night is a rare thing for truckers. Although sleep may be difficult for truckers because of the uncomfortable way of living, it's essential to their well-being and safety. Start prioritizing sleep and make a sleep schedule. Set an alarm for a certain time and turn off all electronics and get your much-needed sleep. Not enough sleep can make life on the road miserable. Exercise often. Due to the many hours of sitting each day, truckers start to experience body pain and health issues. Not exercising and taking care of your health can cause a lot of problems in the long run. You could be out of a job and possibly out of work. Eat healthy. Having your truck stocked with healthy snacks and meals while you're on the road will help teach you how to have a healthy work-life balance. Start making it a habit to go to the grocery store before you head out on the road. Also, avoid eating at fast food restaurants and truck stops. Do not think about work when you're at home. Whether you love trucking or hate it, you've probably thought about your job while you're off the clock. It can be difficult to separate the two. Thinking about work too much while you're at home can make you anxious, sleep deprived, and put you in a bad mood. Instead of worrying about work, try picking up a new hobby or exercising. Spending time with friends and family can also get your mind off things. Make time for family. It doesn't matter if you're on the road or at home. Make time for family. Make it a priority to talk to someone in your family once a day. It can be tough for truckers, especially OTR truckers, to maintain relationships with their family due to the trucking lifestyle. Keeping in contact with your loved ones will help life on the road be less lonely. For more information, be sure to check out the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
That's right. I'm not a spring chicken anymore, but I'm doing good. I went in for a full physical yesterday, requirement by my insurance company, and the doctor was like, "Wow, you're doing good." So I was glad. I was very happy to hear that.
Well, good. Yeah.
Lost some weight. Blood looked good. So all good.
Yeah, fantastic. I also had a doctor appointment yesterday and went in and. It was one of those appointments, bend over and cough and all that kind of worst dentist ever, I'm telling you. Jamie, how are we looking out there on traffic? I think you had some updates for us while we were on break this week.
For the latest in traffic, weather, and information, catch the Morning Grind weekdays on tncradio.live.
Catch Landline Now every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, along with an encore presentation weekdays at noon, right here on tncradio.live.
Welcome back. You're listening to Taillights with the Baums, and I am your host, Angie.
And yep, I am still Larry.
We've been talking with Marcian and Melissa, aka Mouse, from their Facebook page, which is called A Journey of a Spirits Mechanic. You guys can find them on Facebook and their link tree so that you can see about possibly making a donation to help them continue their efforts. But Melissa, when we were talking during the break, I totally forgot to ask who does all the driving, and I just found out that you do most of the driving. So, how different is it learning how to drive a school bus?
Well, the largest vehicle I drove prior to this was 21 and a half feet, and Marvin is 38 feet long. So it was a little bit of a difference, but
Tail swing's real.
Yeah, tail swing is a real thing.
I say, when you pull into a truck stop, do you get looks from truckers like, what the heck is a school bus doing here?
Oh, yeah, a lot.
I could see that. It'd be like, is school in session? Why is there a school bus in the parking lot?
Yeah.
Or taking up a spot.
Yeah, or taking up a spot. They're like, why is there a school bus parked back here?
At least you're not a bobtail and you're taking up a majority of the spot. So,
that's right.
So I was going to say, since you guys have been out there on the road for the last 3 years, have you had, is there one experience you can think of that kind of sticks out in your memory as something funny that happened over the road?
A young guy in his late teens, I would say, was pulled over on the side of the interstate with his hood up. And we pulled over, asked him if there's anything I could do to help him. And he said, no, I'm trying to find a way to open these 2 glass bottles. And they weren't twist cap. They were the pop top. And I said, okay. He's like, I was hoping there was something under the hood that I could open them with. And I was like, no, if anything, you'll break the glass, but hand them here. And I pulled out the lighter that I had in my pocket at the time, and I popped them open for him. And he just looked at me dumbfounded. I was like, are you serious? I've been here 10 minutes trying to open these things. And well, he couldn't believe it. He hopefully learned a new trick that day, though, and will always carry a lighter, so he don't look ill prepared in front of whatever date he's trying to impress.
I was like, that's pretty cute. I can pretty much visualize that right now. You're trying to impress a girl, and darn it if you can't get the glass.
He was like a nerdy guy, and yeah, it was pretty cute.
Okay, that's so cute. That's probably the weirdest roadside assistance story. You're like, I assisted him with a lighter.
Yep. It was. Marcia came back and I was like, what was wrong? And he's like, he was trying to open glass bottles. I'm like, what?
Yep.
You know, that's another good question. Have you ever stopped to assist somebody and they're like, no, we don't want your help?
All the time.
Really?
Yep. All the time. There several times I can't even get to the window and they'll either wave me off or I've had them pull off, like zoom right past me, and it's like, dang, I was just trying to help you, but okay. I mean,
yeah.
And some of them are waiting for their own roadside.
Yep. Some of them pay a high dollar for roadside and would rather wait for their roadside they pay for.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, I mean, it does, but it don't. I mean, if you got somebody that's willing to get you out of harm's way for free and not charge you, why would you want to wait an hour and a half for something that you paid for?
Right.
Is getting your worthwhileness out of your roadside worth putting your life in danger? And that's how my mind works.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I'm going to help you whether you help me or not.
Right.
So, but that's one I've never honestly been able to understand. I mean, I do, but I don't. Like, you're in harm's way, you would think you'd want to be out of harm's way. That's all.
Right. So I was going to ask you, over the last 3 years that you guys have been out here doing this volunteer roadside assistance, have you ever had, an incident that was, a little scary or shocking that you weren't, didn't turn out exactly how you expected?
I can't say that none of them that didn't turn out like I expected, but there was a time, and probably the only time, I wouldn't really say I was nervous, but I could feel the 1,000 eyes watching me at like 12:30 in the morning. It was South Holland, Chicago, which is one of the hardest, deepest ghettos that you can go through. And this black guy and his old lady with the infant child had ran out of gas, and he had went down like an 1/8 mile or so down the road to get a gas can with gas. She was sitting in the middle of the road, and as we came up, we watched a couple people almost rear-end her because there was no lights, no nothing on. So I jumped out and told her, look, hey, I'm going to push you off to the side street, at least get you out of the way so you don't get hit. And after I did that, she explained to me what was going on. So we ended up going down to the gas station and getting her old man and bringing him back to the van. And that whole time I could feel 1,000 eyes watching me, basically wondering, why is this white boy in a black neighborhood helping somebody in the middle of the night?
Well, it's nice that you guys were able to go to the gas station to retrieve him too, because I'm sure him walking back with the, the gas and everything, probably he appreciated getting the ride. So he probably was frustrated.
He was actually reluctant. He didn't want to get in at first.
No, yeah. In this day and age, unfortunately, there's so many times when, we've just become a society where sometimes you just can't trust everybody, and it's kind of sad.
Right. Unfortunately, you're right, but at the same time, as people tell me that, I also tell people about the universal law of balance and how you can't have more of one than the other, and it's really about where you put your focus. I'm not saying the evil doesn't exist. I'm not saying the harm doesn't exist, but at the same time, it takes the same amount of effort to concentrate on that evil and that harm than it does to concentrate on the good and what could happen in a good way. So why not redirect your own focus?
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for being on tonight. Before we get ready to close out the show, I did want to mention that Josh and Ivan are coming up next, you guys, and they have their show, Clutch Time Sports. So if you're a big sports fan, be sure that you guys stick around and listen to them. And Marcia and Melissa, we want to thank you for being with us tonight, and for anybody who is interested in possibly following their journey, because I did want to mention also that you guys do live stream and show a lot of the stops that you guys make, and you've got
we have been branching out in it. Yes.
Yeah. So they can follow your journey all along the way. You guys post pictures and, even let people know when funds are running a little bit low, when, donations could really be helpful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right. We want to thank you so much for joining us. And don't forget, Don't forget, you can also follow Larry and I on Married to the Road on Facebook and on the Trucker's View. And we'll be back on this Sunday with our new show, House of the Driver. And we'll see you guys back next Wednesday for Taillights with the Baums. Be safe, everybody. Be safe, everybody.